Ray Chamberlain, welcome.
Good evening, gents. How are we?
Good, Razor. Good.
Excellent.
This is perfect for you.
Yeah.
How'd they go, the umpires? How'd they handle it all?
I have watched it and reviewed it, and I must say, on field, I thought they were fantastic. It's a rarefied circumstance. It's not something you encounter. I was talking to Nathan Buckley briefly. He rang to ask a couple of questions, and I asked him questions about clubs and different experience levels and how much time do you spend on game-based scenario. And he intimated that sides that are developing spend less time on it because they've got bigger ticket items. And I think in umpiring, it would be reasonable to say you're spending more time on holding the ball and marking contests. And so these things really pop up, and they handled it brilliantly in terms of what their on-field requirements were. So full marks, I think, pretty much, particularly for the field umpires, who I think did a great job.
All right, there's a bit of devil in the detail. Give us the rule as it is to start us off.
Yeah, so the starting positions go like this. You can have a maximum of 6 in each zone, so that's in either arcs and then the middle of the ground. And obviously in the middle of the ground, you've got the wingers and then you've got the midfielders. You must have a player in the centre circle, and at either end of the ground, you have to have a minimum of one player in the goal square currently.
Right, so as we see it here, he's calling everyone back. The Melbourne players, as I'm watching, must have thought they were going to ball the... I thought they must have thought there was going to be a ball up because they all went and congregated around the circle, including the big ruckman who'd gone down to fill the hole. So he gets called back. For what reason, we can debate it in a minute, but they don't have to stand around the circle.
No, they don't. So the midfield players, let's talk about the 3 on-ballers in that sense.
Yep.
They must stay within the square, but they don't have to be wedded like a magnet to the paint of the circle, no.
So one player has to be in the circle.
One player must start in the circle as the laws are written.
OK, so, and then this plays out and off they go. And we know what has happened. This has been the most replayed piece. Magnificent from the Saints. They worked it through. So well done to them, and there's no denying that they handled a moment and Melbourne didn't. So I'll get pointy end and specific, and you can tell me whether this is what Melbourne could have done, should have done and worked out with the degree of hindsight.
Right.
So let's have a look at the lab. So these are the discussions that have unfolded, and this is what, in hindsight now, Razor, we'd like to see. Now, Jack Viney on the far right side needs to slide down to the bottom, obviously. I'd swap Bowie and Gawn. Bowie goes and stands in the centre circle. Max goes and fills the hole. Jack comes down on the corner, covers Caminiti. Drag a couple of the midfielders back. So you've got Bowie on the mark, which you tell me he has to have. Those 3 midfielders are OK to go and stand there, as long as they're inside the square. Nasiah Pickett on the right picks up, if in this instance, picks up Wanganeen-Milera on the way through, and Max is there too to cover. What is wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with any of that?
So from the way the laws of the game are written, let's go with the easy one. So Viney sliding down and covering off on Caminiti, tick, that falls within the laws of the game of the both wingers.
Yep.
And then the on-ballers that are inside the square, they come back and sag back on the defensive side of the centre square. Tick, no drama.
No problem. Slight stagger, no problem.
Now, you and I are in agreement in relation to the issue pertaining to Bowie and Gawn, but the AFL will have us believe that the laws of the game state that Max has to come back and assume that position.
This is the provocative part because
Steve McBurney sent yesterday in the clarification, it's the responsibility of the offending team's ruckman, in this case Gawn, to stand the mark when the free kick is taken or move outside 5 metres, with another player not permitted to come and stand the mark.
So the intention of the law is absolutely, I think, in line with what Stephen articulated yesterday. However, if you take the time to read the rule verbatim, one player will be the ruck positioned inside the 10-metre circle. And what it doesn't capture is this instance where we had this early break. And I think it was Windhager. He's the first guy to jerry on that St Kilda are going to receive a free kick. And so he takes off thinking that he can leave early before the umpire awards the free kick. And then, like the herds on the Serengeti Plains, they all go chasing with him, and good luck herding them back.
But, yes, sorry, go on.
No, and so in that instance then, now they've got to all come back and reset. Now, the laws of the game, the way it's written word for word, you don't have to go... It doesn't stipulate that you must take the same 4 that were in there and go back and assume that position. It just references the numbers of players and where they must be positioned. So your supposition, which is to switch Gawn and Bowie, the way the laws of the game are written would be permissible. But the intention of the law, which is what Stephen articulated, is a little different.
So, had Melbourne had the wherewithal to do it, the unanswerable question is, would the umpire have said, no, you have to switch back, or the presence of the person in the circle would have been enough? We'll never know the answer to that.
And would, if Melbourne then, if Max, who hypothetically is the most well-read man in football, says, I don't have to be in there and runs off, would he pay a 50-metre penalty?
And so this is really interesting because around this law, there is provision where, and it's to avoid the team trying to hold on to the lead, parking the bus and just going, we're going to have 10 back here and we don't care what you say, they can award a free kick in 50.
So there are a lot of people who are sitting at home going, right, let's cut to the chase.
Yes.
So the spirit of the law says Max should stand the mark, but there's nothing that says he has to. Am I right in saying that?
That is correct in the laws of the game, and you can look it up. I think they had it up there
What is
earlier.
going on then? Where are we at? You can't... either he has to or he doesn't, Razor. This is not directed at you.
No, I understand that. And when the law is written...
Not that it would change anything, by
No, of course. But when you read the law, the intention of it is that we haven't had this breakaway of all the players running down and leaving their starting positions. And that's where the problem is. What causes that, Jared, is that the umpire has to wait for the chime to go off in his ear to say that the ad's finished and we can start the game again.
OK, we're only going to run out of time. Is it possible, Ray, that they were watching Saturday night, Adelaide playing the Showdown, a game of which I was commentating, and there was a free kick given after a goal was kicked against Zach Butters, ball comes back in the middle. Yeah. Here's the free kick. That's a free kick. Right? Free kick to Port Adelaide. They all scamper. Look, and I'm going, I don't think you can do this. I think you've got to set up, you know, this is what's going to happen. But no, they all took off.
So, and this is the beautiful vagary of the dark arts of umpiring AFL
this
football.
Is what,
yes.
Yeah, right. Now, you're spot on.
What happened?
So I'll explain it. So in this circumstance here, if that free kick had occurred in the attacking end for Port Adelaide, the free kick would have been taken where the infringement occurred.
In the forward.
So correct. And then a person would have had to stand the mark and everyone can sort of stand outside the protected area and yell and carry on. So starting positions do not apply when a general play free kick like that has occurred in that break of time.
Go for your life.
But you'd be forgiven for looking at the two circumstances and going, they're off to the races.
But Max will say, I watched that last night. They were allowed to go.
We're recruiting. If anyone's interested, I can put you in touch with a bloke who'll help you get a game.
This is not absolving them of any of their sins from Sunday, but it's interesting that it is a spirit of the game. We'd like you to stand on the mark.
So gut feeling, if you were the have you put yourself into, if I'd been there and then run the hypothetical if they switched, do you think you would have called Max back, or do you think you would go, no, that's perfectly fine?
So, hand on heart, I rang 2 AFL Grand Final umpires and I said, I led with, and I sort of led the witness, I said, they don't have to have the same people, it's just the numbers, isn't it? And they both replied, I think the rules are that it's exactly as you said it, but I think the way they want it is we all go back to where we were before the herd took off. Yeah. So we're all in an ambiguity sort of position, and I would have allowed the numbers to go and I probably would have been in trouble.